Hello, welcome to day 3 of the Robinson Violin School free course where we will be playing our very first piece on the violin in just 7 days. This is day 3 and we are going to be using our left hand today. So we're going to be actually putting down our fingers on the fingerboard and I'll be guiding you along the way today. Okay, so I have the presentation ready. Let's dive in, grab your violin and bow, and let's get started. Okay, so here we are in day 3, your first notes. All right, so this is very, very exciting. This is our agenda for today. So we're going to talk about the left hand setup. I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means, the finger placement, and then some finger patterns for us to really go and refine our dexterity in our left hands and some strength in our left hands. I'll show you how to do that. Some things to avoid, especially some things that are pretty common that I see in beginners. So I'll talk about that. And then playing your first notes confidently. And we're gonna give you all the things that you really need in order to make that happen today. Okay, so some things out of the way. Follow our channel, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Those are our handles there. Share this free course with everyone you know. Let's make learning the violin accessible to everyone and start a music making revolution. Warning, this is the most important video in this course, so I would definitely recommend not skipping around, jumping around, or skipping this video. This is very, very important, especially as we're trying to learn our pieces in the next few days. So here we are, left hand set up. So first we want to make something a lot easier, and that's specifically we're going to apply some tapes to the fingerboard, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do this and give you some recommendations on how. So this will make it a lot easier. They'll act kind of like frets if you see guitars or maybe an ukulele or banjos or any other kind of strummed string instrument. A lot of them have frets, right? So you know exactly where to put your fingers. But violins don't have frets, right? So in the beginning, what we do is actually put tapes on our violin on the fingerboard to show where we should put our fingers, okay? And I'll show you how to do that. So specifically, I use auto detailing tape, actually. I find it's actually really good because of the width. It's not too thick, but I like it also because it has a solid color to it. So, um, and you can use any color tape. I personally use red, kind of looks like this. It's pretty thin. I would say it's probably just um I don't know, maybe a quarter of an inch or so. Not a very wide piece of tape. And it comes mine's a little unorganized here, but it comes in a little roll like this. I get it at like auto body shop parts or where you can like kind of get auto supplies for your car or things like that. Sometimes they sell this stuff. Sometimes I'll go to like a place like AutoZone if you're in the United States. I don't know if they have them in other parts of the world, but that's where I normally get. Is pretty inexpensive. You may see products online where you can actually um, like maybe from a music store or something where they may have like like a whole strip that they printed out that already has all the kind of like tapes built into like a one like adhesive strip so that all you have to do is like put it on the fingerboard and then it shows you where like each finger or note would be played. Some people play with them and start with that. I personally don't recommend that. I think it's a little bit too much information all at once. I can see that it may seem like it's very convenient, but it may actually make things a little bit too complicated. And I think it's better to keep things simple, one step at a time, and then we can build out, our tapes. But eventually, you won't really need them anyways. Um, and so, yeah, so I think really only like 4 tapes is really all you really need. And it's a lot more probably inexpensive to just get something like auto detailing tape, or if you already have some kind of tape, basically any kind of tape will do, except for like duct tape or something that's really like strongly like adhesive. I would steer away from those kinds of products. But maybe something like electrical tape, I'm sure is probably fine. The only issue is that it's probably black, and we do want to be able to see it easily on the fingerboard. So any kind of like colored tape again, I think is good. If it's wider than this, then I would just kind of cut off a strip of it and then make smaller segments of it. Just cut it in half or in thirds or whatever width makes the most sense. But yeah, that's basically what I use. I'll jump out of the presentation and show you exactly how to put the tapes on the fingerboard here in just a second. And these will basically act like training wheels for us and also help us build confidence in the beginning. So eventually, you really won't need them anymore, but they really help us build in muscle memory and just like an understanding of the geography of what notes are and how our left hand should be structured. So it really gives us a jump start in that way. Okay, so I'm gonna jump out of the presentation and put on some tapes on my violin just so I can show you how. I would recommend that you have someone help you with this. You can go to probably a string instrument shop in your city or close by that can, just do this quite quickly for you and probably at no cost. That would be probably the best case scenario because it can get a little tricky just to like really pinpoint the exact location if you aren't really familiar with music or have an ear for music or pitch yet. So if you don't have a lot of like understanding of pitch and intonation or things like that, I'll give you some tips on how you can still do this alone if those other things aren't an option. But yeah, I'll join you outside of this presentation in just a second. All right, we will be putting tapes on our fingerboard now. So I'll be showing you exactly how to do this. So make sure you have your 4 tapes already kind of planned and taped out and just put them off to the side so that you can easily get to them or put them on the corner of the table or whatever. So what you'll want to be doing is either probably putting the violin on top of a table or something that is secure so that it doesn't fall down or anything like that. And what you'll be doing is taking your tapes, okay, and the adhesive side is pointing down, okay, and you'll be putting it under the strings just like this, and basically putting it so that you can slide it up behind the strings so that the adhesive can stick to the fingerboard, okay? And so you'll want to slide it all the way up about an inch, okay? And I'm not going to wrap it all the way around the neck of the violin yet because I want to test it to make sure it's on the right note, okay? And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But it's probably, yeah, it's probably about this far from the top of the fingerboard here, okay? So just about maybe an inch, maybe a little more than an inch down, okay? All right, now we do that with, let me show you, I'll do the same thing. You won't be able to see it though, but I'll do the same thing here with the second tape. And should look something like this, okay? All right. And again, don't wrap it around the neck yet. I'll put it down the third. Now the third tape is going to be a little close to the second tape. Okay? So the third tape's going to be kind of like that. All right? And then we may move these slightly, okay? So all right. Now the fourth tape might be somewhere around there, okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And just to show you a little closer, it's kind of where they should go. All right, so basically what I want to do is, if you have a tuner, and if you don't have a tuner, you can easily download one for free on the apps. You just download the app, just write, search for like free tuner, or if you can get something that also has a metronome on it, that would be also great. There's also some really inexpensive apps online or on your phones that you can look up that you can use. I use a tuner a lot just to tune my violin, the open strings and everything. So before we do this, you'll definitely want to make sure that your strings are in tune, okay? That's super important. So especially, so just to review, our strings are E, right? The highest pitched string is E, and then we have A, and then D, and then G, okay? So I would definitely make sure that these strings are all in tune before you start trying to test where the tapes are, okay? So the first tape here, and I'm gonna play, just pluck on the A string for now. So the first note we have should be B. So if I just put my finger on that tape and press the string into the fingerboard and pluck it lightly, it should play a B. And so it should sound something like this. Okay, now that's pretty much where it is, and I just want to make sure that the tape is straight and not at an angle, right? So if it looks something like this, then that's not really gonna work, right? Because we need it really to be in the same place for each string. Okay, so make sure that's straight. All right, and then once that seems good, I'm gonna make sure that the tape is then wrapped around the neck of the instrument, just like that, okay? Now, the next one, so your second finger should be C sharp if you're using a tuner. I put mine just a little low. So I'm gonna move it up slightly. Now I can do this without a tuner just because I've been playing the violin for a very, very long time. And I've also done this process hundreds of times, I feel like, with students. So it's not too hard for me at this point. And I don't really need a tuner to do this. Okay, so now, once we have C sharp, and you don't have to worry too much about why this is, the first finger is B, why is this C sharp on the second finger. We're gonna talk about this in the next video tomorrow, okay? So don't get too worried about the note names or things like that, okay? So this is just purely for matching up the note that when you push down on the A string on the tape, that it produces, you know, that note that I'm telling you, okay? So for the first finger, it should be a B. For the second finger, it should be a C sharp. Now for the third finger, it should be a D natural, or just a D, okay? I feel like mine is just a little low, so I'm gonna make it just slightly higher. All right. That should be good. Okay, now the fourth finger should be E. Okay, so when we play the fourth finger, it should be E. And if it's uncomfortable to use your fourth finger or your third finger or whatever finger on any of these tapes, then just use whatever finger is the most comfortable and just make sure that it's getting heard, as in it's speaking. So we need to make sure that it is. Okay. So let me adjust the fourth finger one. It was a little too low. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now I have all of them wrapped around, and that's what it should look like, somewhere close to this. And again, if you're struggling to figure this out on your own, that's totally normal. I've done this, like I said, hundreds of times for students, just because it's so much easier for them in the beginning. So I definitely recommend going to a shop, some kind of string shop or instrument shop that can help you with putting on your tapes on your fingerboard. And it shouldn't be, you know, it shouldn't really cost anything at all. And if they do, then very, very inexpensive. And yeah, so that's definitely what I would recommend here, okay? But again, just to review what the notes are, and these are for the A string. So your A string should sound like this, right? So if you play where the tapes are, it should be the first finger should be a B, second finger should be a C sharp, third finger should be a D, and the fourth finger should be an E, okay? And that's how we put on our tapes for the first four fingers, all right? And again, make sure that the tapes are straight. They're not at an angle. Let me just check. Yep, they're pretty good. So, and that's because, you know, if, you know, it's higher on one string than the other, then we're gonna get not the correct pitches when we actually push our fingers down for that respected note or fingering, okay? So, great, I'm gonna go back into the presentation and we will continue on. See you there. All right, welcome back to the presentation. We are gonna move on to finger patterns. It's very, very exciting. So here we are. So finger patterns are going to build dexterity in our hands, okay? So build out this kind of the structure and endurance in our left hand and the agility. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what finger lifting and dropping is, okay? So these are going to be all the finger patterns, okay? So I'm going to go through these with you so that you all understand these. So these are all the finger patterns, okay? So we're going to start with our second finger, and we're going to do all of these without the bow, all right? So we don't need the bow at this process. And I'll demonstrate this and walk you through it step by step, all right? So we're going to start with our second finger, and we're just going to lightly tap second finger and then the open string, second finger and then the open string, okay? Then once that's comfortable, we're going to do second finger, holding it, and then fourth finger, okay? So we're just going to go back and forth like that, so on and so forth through all of these. And again, I will, so I'm going to put this slide in the resources, the resource link, so that you can see it and have all of these numbers. So that when I'm demonstrating it, you can have this also up and available, or even print it out so that you can have it right there on your stand and you can see what I'm doing as well, okay? So we're gonna go over all of these finger patterns, and I'm gonna talk even more about finger lifting and dropping, what that means. And eventually we'll be playing this with the bow later in this video, okay? So I will see you in just a second with my violin and bow. All right, we will be talking about building dexterity, going into some finger patterns, and then also talking about finger dropping and lifting. This is a really exciting point, especially in your 7-day journey with learning your very first piece on the violin. We will be using our left hands, which is actually a really big milestone. Please don't take it lightly. This is really incredible progress, and I'm extremely thrilled for you to be here and to be embarking on this journey together and among this community. So let's get into it. All right, so we have our tapes on our violin, correct? So what we're gonna be doing is, again, practicing putting our violin into position. All right, so a lot of relaxation, especially in our shoulders and our neck. Nothing feels too strained or too forced here. All right, so we will be putting our left hand down by these tapes now, okay? So we don't need to have our hands up here, right? So we're gonna be putting them down here. So the left thumb should be just about by the first tape, okay? So actually I will position this way just a little bit, just so you can see. All right, so it should be just relaxed, and if you notice, there's some space here, all right? So I don't have my the bottom of my thumb and my palm really in the violin, in the neck of the violin. I leave some space, okay? And one of the big things here is that we're not gonna wanna squeeze with our thumb. I see a lot of beginners wanting to really grip and squeeze. And I especially see the thumb at an angle like this. And that really tells me that you may be squeezing. So definitely important that our thumb is nice and relaxed, okay? At all times, even when we're pressing our fingers down on the fingerboard, okay? So another thing that I want you to pay attention to is that the fingers are nice and curved, okay? So the wrist, I see a lot of people start to do this with the wrist. We really want that to be straight, actually, okay? And then this part of our elbow, you know, this part of our elbow has a generally just a nice bend. And it should be, if your elbow is out too far this way, then you're gonna be at a disadvantage, right? So if my elbow is too far out this way, it should be right under the violin, okay? Right under the violin. So we're gonna be using the A string today, okay? We're gonna be all over the strings, but for just right now, let's focus on the A string. So we're gonna do the first finger pattern, okay? So put the thumb back by the first finger tape, all right? We have our nice wrist, we have our curved fingers just hovering above the fingerboard, okay? So they're all arched, nice and arched, and our palms aren't out this way, right? So we bring in the palm towards the fingerboard, all right? If you can see, I do have this knuckle just resting on the side for right now. Eventually we won't have that, but for now, that's okay. So, I just want you to take your second finger and lightly start to drop it, but don't hold down so forcefully. Just, it's like if you were going to go to a piano and just tap one of the keys. Basically, that's what we're going to be doing, okay? So we do want some speed to drop the actual finger, and we want to feel it from this part of our hand. So back from this part of our hand, and just drop it down and have the fingertip, so the tip of the finger, be the place of contact with the string and the tape, okay? So I'm just lightly tapping with what, basically this is the aspect of finger dropping and lifting, okay? So we drop it and we lift it, okay? And this is gonna really help with dexterity on our left hand. So this is our first little pattern. This is just second finger and then open, second and left, second and left. All right, that's it. Now we're gonna go from our second finger, and then we're just gonna keep our second finger down and then lightly tap the fourth finger, okay? Now this may feel a little uncomfortable. Maybe the second finger feels uncomfortable too, but the fourth finger may feel especially uncomfortable because it is our weakest finger in our hand, okay? And that's gonna, only do it enough, maybe a few times. If it starts getting a little bit too uncomfortable, then take a rest with your fourth finger. We don't want to push this part of it. Okay, so we just do maybe 5 taps is good enough, okay? So that's just 2 and 4. So we're just gonna alternate between the second finger and the fourth finger. And all we're doing is putting the fourth finger on the fourth tape, right? So you can see second finger is right there on the second tape. And then I just tap the fourth finger on the fourth tape, all right? And I'm keeping all my fingers curved, and I'm keeping my fingers at least a little close to the fingerboard, especially my first and third, even though I'm not using them, all right? And just notice that my wrist isn't coming in like this, okay? And my elbow isn't going out like that or too far underneath the instrument. It's just directly under it, okay? And I'm not squeezing with my thumb. It's nice and relaxed. Nice and relaxed. All right? So just 2 and 4. Now we'll do our second and first finger. Yeah. So just keep the first finger on the tape, and we can just lightly tap our second finger. And if you hear, like you may hear my finger coming up and down on the string, totally fine. And now we're going to try our fourth finger again between 1 and 4. Okay. So we just lift it vertically. All right, now we'll do 1 and 3. So 1 and 3. Okay. And now we're going to do our third and fourth finger. So this may be challenging. So only do it a few times. Don't push yourself here. If it starts to hurt or you feel especially stiff or uncomfortable, don't push it too much. And it's going to be really important that you try to keep your pinky curved here. You'll see a lot of people kind of do this where your pinky is really straight. We don't want that kind of motion. So we do want the pinky to be curved, all right? So something like this, not like that. We won't want that, okay? So if it's curved, you'll have a little bit more strength for it, okay? And again, lightly tap it, wrist should be straight, and you're not squeezing in the thumb, all right? So now we can take a bit of a break, because that may make you feel a little tired, especially in the left hand or in the upper left arm. If so, totally normal. I feel a little tired myself. So take a little bit of a break here, and you can totally pause the video if you need to. That's totally fine. But for now, let's go into some of the longer finger patterns that we have, okay? So the first one we have is open. So every 0 is just an open string, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So first, second, third, and fourth finger. And then we're going to do back the opposite. So fourth finger, third finger, second finger, first finger, and then open string again, okay? So let's try that. So we're back in position. So I'll do open, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4, 3, 2, 1, open, okay? So I'll show you guys that again. So open, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 4, 3, 2, 1, open, okay? That's all that looks like. Now let's do the next one. So 1, 3, 2, 4, and then 4, 2, 3, 1. So this one is a little bit of a pattern and a finger twister. So 1, 3, 2, 4, and then 4, 2, 3, 1, okay? And now I'll do that one more time. So 1, 3, 2, 4, 4, 2, 3, 1, okay? Now the next pattern we can do, we can just kind of loop as many times as you'd like. So this one is open, 1, 2, 1, open, 1, 2, 1. This one I like because you can build some speed into it. Yeah, if you start feeling more comfortable with it, make sure you're not squeezing your thumb or anything when you get quicker. But if you want to just try and see how it feels to put down your fingers and lift them a little bit quicker, please try that with this exercise, okay? Now the next one is 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And then the last one here is 2, 3, 4, 3. So remember, and that one may feel a little bit uncomfortable because we're using our third and fourth finger together, which has a bit of a finger independence issue. There's actually there's a tendon here that's connected between the third and fourth finger, and so it's really hard to, well, it's almost impossible to actually move your fourth finger and third finger kind of independently of each other. And so it kind of presents a unique issue with string playing. And so we actually do a lot of exercises like this in order to try and build some finger independence between the third and fourth finger. And it also doesn't help that the fourth finger is one of our weakest fingers. So we do have to kind of put a little bit more extra effort. But with that being said, if you're feeling stiff or a little tired, take breaks. It's definitely important, and you shouldn't push yourself in these exercises, okay? So listen to your body in that sense, and just make sure that you're keeping the back of the hand especially relaxed, and that you're not pressing too hard when you are putting down your fingers. Don't push into the fingerboard and the string too much. And we're gonna explore those kinds of nuances when we start using our bow as well, and I'll share a little bit about how much is just right in terms of finger pressure. And then again, make sure we're not squeezing with the thumb. I see that quite a bit, and it can lead to some injuries. So really make sure that we're not squeezing with our left thumbs, okay? Great, okay, so those are the finger patterns. Right now, they don't have to be too rhythmic. It will be important just to kind of get your fingers moving. And that's really the goal here. It's just to kind of like get your fingers moving. If it's helpful, you can try and do it along with me, along with the video, and see if you can follow my fingers. And you can use that as a guide. And if you can do that, you're in an incredible place. And if you can't, that's totally fine. Very normal. And it takes a little bit of time in order to maybe get it to as freely as I can do it at this moment. But really, it's just the main goal here is to get your left hand moving and a little bit more familiar with where they are in the position specifically. And I would say even more important than that is to be able to do some of this stuff without any kind of gripping or tension in the left hand or upper body, okay? I'll just say one more thing that I often see is that when people start using their left hands, the shoulder starts to raise sometimes, especially your left shoulder. So make sure we're keeping in track with that. Do kind of like a relaxation check. We talked about this in one of the earlier videos. Just like take a moment whenever you take a break to just take a deep breath and feel your body relax. And you may feel like some places in your upper body, your shoulder or neck, or maybe in your hands that you are holding tension unintentionally. So doing that sometimes can be really helpful. All right, we're going to jump back into the presentation and I'll see you then. All right, we are back in the presentation. Common beginner mistakes. So these are some things that I see quite often, and I'd like to just kind of let you know about them, just so we can try our best to avoid these. So we've already mentioned this quite a few times, but I think it's just so important to mention again as many times as I can. Um, to avoid squeezing the thumb or putting tension in other parts of the body. I see oftentimes that when beginners start to use other parts of their body, the left hand and the bow at the same time, plus like holding the instrument, there's a lot of unfamiliar motions. There's a lot of unfamiliar kind of like angles and things that we're putting our body in. And I think a common thing that we just do is try to compensate somehow. And we may feel that it's hard, or we try to work hard to do them. And a lot of times when we actually try to do that kind of stuff, like work hard at it, we actually are working a little bit too hard, and we can actually simplify a lot of the things. So definitely keep track of where tension kind of starts to pop up in the body. There is some normal parts of tension, like things that are just inevitable, will happen just because we're putting our body in a specific posture and configuration that initially really doesn't feel that natural, to be honest. But it is kind of the requirement in playing an instrument. So, especially if we're not used to playing instruments or things like that before, there will just be some things that will initially just feel uncomfortable, and that's extremely normal. But there are some parts of our body that just shouldn't be necessarily really tense when we play. And so I just want to make sure that, I talk about this as often and as much as I possibly can when we're going through these things. Because the last thing I really want you to deal with is pain or anything like that. Okay. So, so yeah, so definitely don't squeeze the thumb or put any kind of tension in other parts of the body. Keep a consistent hand frame. So when I talk about hand frame, what I'm really talking about is um, making sure that the hand doesn't kind of shift. So like the palm is not getting my violin here. So making sure that the palm isn't coming out this way too much when we're playing the violin, so that it's really nice and coming closer to the instrument, something more along these lines. So it shouldn't be out here and then kind of like trying to put down the fingers from out here like this. So the more we can keep a consistent hand frame where our fingers are kind of all in a line right above the finger or the string, then we can really kind of like really help keep consistency in our intonation and the pitch, and it'll be a lot easier to efficiently move our fingers on the fingerboard. Okay, so that's what that's all about. And then so when we get to this aspect, so your bow arm and just overall coordination may suffer from tension, and this is another aspect about tension, but also the dexterity in your hand. So, if you're not used to, maybe if you haven't ever played an instrument before, or did a lot of kind of things like this with your hands in terms of movements and things, you may find that it's harder for coordination, which is super normal, especially with beginners, when we start using both hands together. Okay, so one of the reasons why I kind of introduce each hand separately. So first I introduce the right arm, and then I like to introduce the left. And it really helps us to kind of like separate them, not only like internally, but also in our brain, and kind of understand how they work rather than just like kind of throwing it all together at once. I see that's kind of that's the most confusing aspect of playing the violin. I think when that kind of happens, when we try to use our like both hands immediately right away. Um, just watch out when you're starting to use the bow and the left hand. Um, Pay attention a little bit to how they're working together. So when your finger moves and your bow moves, they should happen at the same time, right? So I think that's probably kind of what I'm talking about here. But if you are trying to move it at the same time and they're not happening, it could be because of tension or some kind of dexterity thing in the left hand or bow, for that matter. Okay, so watch out for that. And then keep the movements simple, and yeah, try your best not to overcomplicate any emotions. I kind of mentioned this already in the first point, but keeping it simple is always best. And if anything is unclear or a little bit of confusing, or you may need a little bit more help than these videos can provide for you, definitely reach out to me so that I can try to problem solve as much as I can with what's kind of going on. We all have, different lengths of fingers. Some people have really long fingers, some people have big hands, some people have really small hands, and it just takes a little bit of adjustment here and there in order to make things a lot simpler. And so if you're not really feel like you're getting the results you want out of some of these videos, do reach out to me so that I can try to accommodate, specific things, maybe your hand size or the finger lengths or so on and so forth. Because those are like kind of tricky sometimes when we're trying to learn an instrument, and especially an instrument like the violin that really requires a lot of angles and positioning and coordination. Those things really do matter. So yeah, definitely reach out to me if things, you know, feel a little over complicated for you, and things like that. I'm super happy to help. Okay, so again, remember that perfection is really not the goal here, right? And it's not going to sound like I say it may not sound, I'm going to say it's not going to sound perfect the first time. I don't know anyone that's done it and has just like done it exactly perfectly the first time. And honestly, yeah, Heifetz did not sound perfect the first time he picked up the violin. So if you're kind of confused, like who's Heifetz? So Heifetz is like probably one of the most famous violinists of modern violin playing. And if you don't know who that is, definitely Google this person. Look him up on YouTube. Um, it's of a past generation of violinists, but incredible violinist, one of the best that has really ever lived, and some people say truly the best that has ever lived. So even people like that, or Yo-Yo Ma or Isaac Roman, like these people really didn't sound absolutely perfect the first time they picked up an instrument. So we got to have that perspective as well when we're learning something. We have to start somewhere, and so perfection really isn't the goal at this point. It really is just about the progress and the journey. So I just want to remind everyone that, because this is quite a big step for us. And it's always important when we have these big steps that we really do put it in perspective. Because, just a few days ago, we weren't playing the violin, and we've already come this far, which is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And that is what we can be proud of. All right. So let's keep on going. Okay. So playing your first notes confidently. All right. So now we're going to start using the bow and left hand together. All right. So once your finger taps, so the finger patterns that we're using and showing you um, earlier in this video, once that starts feeling comfortable and your left hand feels relaxed, we can start using the bow to play the notes and patterns very slowly. Okay, so really take this slowly. Don't try to if you're just using your left hand and you felt like you go really quickly, we're gonna slow it down here when we use our bow. All right. So definitely don't play quickly here. That is not the goal. Um, so yes, remember to go one step at a time. Coordination really takes time. You may feel like um, a little overwhelmed at this moment when you're putting the bow and left hand together. Completely normal, like absolutely completely normal. I remember when I first did that, I was yeah, it was very overwhelming. But it's it just will. And really, the thing is, once you do it once, the next time you do it, it's gonna feel easier. So you just keep on going. So remember some of the things that we talked about in our previous lesson in terms of the three ingredients of sound, right? So bow weight, speed, and sounding point. So sometimes if this is going to be probably the point where you're going to get some start hearing some sounds that you probably don't expect. Okay, so it can be a lot of times our focus is now a lot towards the left hand, and we've kind of stopped focusing on the right. And so you're going to probably start to see your bow wander around the string and do some things that yet haven't become a habit yet. So you're going to just have to keep track of both hands and just make sure that, if the sound starts kind of changing or becoming something that you're not really going for, remember those three ingredients and how they work together, okay? Because that's going to really, really help you. And if you feel like that's really working well and you're not, you're playing at a really good sound point, not too much weight or too little weight, or not too much beat or too slow, um, then it could be that your left hand just really isn't in the string enough, and it may be just a little bit too lightly on the string. So you may not be pushing the string all the way into the fingerboard, or maybe your hand or finger is hitting a string intentionally that you're not trying to play. So there could be some things like that. And so for our focus, I think it's gonna be our best goal to try and do this finger pattern here that I have. So the open 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back 4, 3, 2, 1, open with the bow. So I think this finger pattern with the bow will probably be the best goal for us to shoot for and to really like try to really get under our finger. And this is on the A string, okay? Now, if you feel super comfortable with the A string and you want to try another string, go for it. Don't let me stop you. You can totally do on the D string or the G string or E string. It'll just be the same exact fingering, and you'll play it exactly the same way. But I find that it's a lot easier for beginners to start and kind of focus on one string in the beginning here. So I would try to just focus on the A string for now. And yeah, so that's basically where we'll be here. I'll go out of this presentation and kind of show you a little bit of playing with our left hand and the bow at the same time. Okay. And yeah, yeah, I'll join you with my violin and see you in just a second. All right, so we are gonna start using both of our hands together, the left and right hand, specifically on one of our finger patterns, the open 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4, 3, 2, 1, open, okay? And we're gonna focus on the A string here, all right? So remember, we're gonna get back into our playing position here. So we're gonna have our left hand back, and by the first tape with our thumb, our fingers are nice and curved over the fingerboard and the A string. There's no tension in the thumb. It's nice and relaxed, and our wrist is straight. It's not too far out or collapsed like this, all right? So what we're gonna do is put the bow on the string, and remember, get our bow grip in the correct spot here, right? Curved pinky, thumb bent, all that good stuff. The third finger on the eye, all right? And so what we're gonna do is put the bow in the middle, right in the middle of the string, okay? And we're just gonna start slowly, okay? And we're just gonna start this and not necessarily in any kind of rhythm or tempo. We're gonna get into that a little bit later. But for now, we're just gonna try and do these few notes, and I will show you what that's like right now. So we start with our open A, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back down. I'll show you now. So. Okay, so it's something like that. I'll show you one more time. Okay, so I'm using maybe a little bit more bow than you might feel comfortable with, or maybe I'm playing a little bit faster than you may be really comfortable with, and that is totally fine and also completely normal, okay? Doesn't need to sound exactly like me right now, but I'm just for the purpose of showing you what it looks like, and generally the flow and what we should be trying to shoot for here. This is basically what it is. So you can either keep down each finger as you're playing it. Most beginners do that. But sometimes I do lift certain fingers. So if you see me doing that, it's mainly because if I have all 4 fingers down on the fingerboard, I feel a lot more kind of resistance, or maybe a little bit of tension in the back of the hand. But if I have all 4 fingers down and then I lift my first finger, a lot of that kind of goes away. And to play the 4th finger, we actually don't need all of our fingers down, right? So I can have even just my 4th finger down and still be able to play and have the note speak, okay? So not necessarily, but totally fine. If you do have all your fingers down, that's pretty normal, and I kind of expect that to be that way. So I'll show it to you one more time, and then I'll go through some examples and how to troubleshoot if this is what you're experiencing. Okay, so I'll try this one more time for you and demonstrate. Okay, so just keep it simple. You can go as slow as you need. If you need to put some rests or some, take a little bit of a break in between each note. So if you want to stop, so on and so forth, totally fine. Please do that if that's something you need to do. I would encourage that. If you're trying to play just exactly as I did and it's not really working in terms of coordination in your left hand, put in some pauses in between each note, okay? Just so that you can collect both hands together and be able to play them at the same exact time. Okay, so if you're getting a sound kind of like this, something like that, you may not be actually putting down the finger all the way, right? So the tip of your finger should really be pressing not super hard, but just enough so that your the note can speak. Okay, so let me kind of demonstrate. So if it's too light, it's going to sound like this. So my finger isn't all the way in the fingerboard, but when I so the more I press, you can hear that it starts to get a little bit clearer, right? So so that example, I was just kind of lightly on top of the string, and then I started to push it a little bit more and more in until my finger was actually touching the fingerboard. Okay, so if you're hearing something like a little wispy or glassy, it could be because your fingers aren't really pressing all the way down into the fingerboard. Okay, so that's a common thing that happens with a lot of beginners. Is not really understanding or knowing yet how much they should actually press, and so there's such a thing as um, too little weight into the string. So we do want to be able to press just enough so that the string is able to vibrate that note or stop the string at that specific place. All right. So one more time, I'll just show it to you. This finger pattern just on the A string. Okay, so just keep the bow speed, bow weight, all pretty constant. Try to keep your sounding point also consistent, just in the middle between the bridge and fingerboard. Nothing fancy here, just better to keep it simple. But yeah, congratulations. This is really a huge step forward, playing with both of our hands. Okay, so we're gonna jump back into the presentation and finish out today's lesson. See you there. All right, welcome back to the presentation. Let's get on to the final slide of today. So, part two, playing your first notes confidently. This is the time to celebrate and to get our practice assignment for today. So, congratulations. You are now one step closer to your 7-day goal. This is a massive, massive milestone in your journey. You are able to use now your left hand, your right bow arm, and now play multiple notes. And you're able to have your fingers work together. It's amazing, the progress you've come from. You weren't really you didn't play really the violin at all, and now you're using the arm, your left hand, your bow all together, and creating sound and playing different notes. That's a massive, massive achievement. You should be very proud of yourself. Um, and yeah, so now on to the practice assignment. We are going to do our finger taps. So finger taps are the things that we are doing, the finger patterns without the bow, okay? And again, all of those combinations, the finger patterns and everything, they'll be linked into the resource links in the video description. And then with the bow, we're going to do 5 reps of the finger pattern that I just showed you. The open 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, open. Okay. And I would suggest doing this on the A string for now. If that feels really way too easy for you and you're getting bored, then please be my guest and go to some of the other strings. The D string or the G string or E string, and yeah, just keep on going with that. Now, things to remember, I will constantly say to relax your thumb because it is so important. Make sure your fingers are curved in your left hand and that you're maintaining a consistent sound. So there's not too many variables in your sound, okay? So complete your accountability post in the Skool community. I've put directions for that in the video description. And also, if you ever need any help, remember that I am here for you. You can always message me within Skool. Or you can go to my website and schedule a free strategy call with me, and we can explore how I can help achieve your goals with the violin. You can do this at robinsonviolinschool.com/start, and you can book an appointment. Again, it's completely free, and we can see how I can help you get and achieve your goals, especially as we finish this 7-day journey. And even if you don't feel like it's the right thing, we will still, and I will still be able to build a journey for you way beyond this 7-day course. All right. So again, congratulations. I am so thrilled for you, and I'm really excited to see you tomorrow for the next day and your next lesson.